Hi there, my name's Lloyd Ross, and welcome to this episode. I'm just kidding, it's not the podcast, but we are live in the Money Grows on Trees group here. And of course, I've got my friend Colin Goggins. What's up, Col?
Not too much. Just finished work, got home. So
Great. Thanks for
sit
jumping
back
on
and
with us.
relax one.
Yeah, we're going to have fun talking together about your journey.
Thank you.
Colin's in our 5 Steps to Millions mentorship program, and he's had tremendous success in various areas. And I just wanted to bring you on, mate, and just kind of get a bit of an idea of where you started and how far you've come, just to inspire some others that might be in a similar situation to where you started. So, Cole, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions,
Yeah, go for it.
and what will come will come. So, the first question I've got is: before you started the 5 Steps to Millions program, what was life like for you? What was happening with you?
Well, I'll try and keep this very simple and to the point. Let's just say 10 years ago, my life changed. Became single and turned my life upside down. And as a result, money sort of became rather interesting. A lack of it.
Yep.
One thing and another, bought a few things, consolidated debt, did this, did that, decided Sydney was enough for me, moved down to Melbourne, borrowed
Yep.
more money. So I was borrowing on top of borrowing, et cetera, and consolidating. And my debt ran up to about 30,000 $30,000. And so that was a bit of a nightmare. And
Yep.
bit by bit, I managed to get that down. Obviously, COVID helped and savings.
Yep.
Like anybody else, you're not spending and so
Yep.
forth.
Yep.
I got to a point, probably a couple of K left in the account, and was looking at ways of trying to make extra money because I'm getting closer to retirement and wanted to make life a little bit easier than what it was. I came across your book, read it, got the coaching calls offer.
Yep.
Be honest with you, I didn't take them up
Okay.
because I'm a bit of a skeptic at times. You worry
Okay.
whether it's just another, not scam, but just another. It's hard to put into words what I thought at that time.
Yeah. You're
And
ex-military, Cole. I think you're
correct,
being ex-military too, like probably an extra level of skepticism. Actually.
yes, just a little. And
Okay.
so anyway, I was going along, and then I kept getting more and more information coming on Facebook. Did some digging around, did
Yep.
some research, and decided, you know what, I've got to do something. Took on the coaching calls,
Yep.
um, and the rest is history.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. So there's big changes in your life that made you want to make a change, obviously, financially,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So you grab the book, you read the book, and yeah, with our books, we have an offer of coaching calls with Mel or one of our coaches, and they have two, like you have two calls, and on the first call you get a couple of tasks to do to move you along a bit and unpack some things and look for holes in where you're at. But then the second one is where, if you want to, you can learn about our program that you're now in. But I want to talk to you about how that was for you, because it was quite a hard decision for you to make, if I remember, and you
Yes.
were very concerned about whether was gonna be a good investment. And I think like you lost sleep over it. It was a hard decision for you, right?
Yeah, very, very much so. Especially when you get to a point, I'm finally close to debt free for once.
Yeah.
My life has been like that a fair bit ever since I started working, and
Yep.
never seemed to get ahead. And it was just one of those things, and you go, "Oh, should I? Shouldn't I?" And yes, Mel was very patient, lovely lady. She just sat there and said, "Look," explained it all, and said, "What would you like to do?" And I said, "Oh, can you give me 5 seconds?" My heart rate went up, my pressure went up. I was starting to sweat a bit. I'm going, "Oh," and to be truthful, it's not often I say this. I was close to tears. I
Yeah.
was, because to do it, I had to borrow money again.
Yeah.
And I'm going, hang on, I'm supposed to be learning how to make money, yet I'm borrowing again.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of conflicting emotions there, really
Cool.
was.
Cool.
Um, but
And what
looking
happened
back
in
on it,
what? How did you kind of come to the decision? You went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you know what? I'm just going to do this. 'Cause, you went, you
I realised it come to a point in my life, as I said, I'm getting close to retirement age now. Whether I fully retire or not is another question. But it was one of those things that you look at and you go, I've got to bite the bullet. I have to draw the line in the sand. I've got to do something.
Yeah.
And it was worth the risk.
Yep.
Have I spent money in other areas and wasted it? Yeah. This one, I didn't think it was a waste, but it's still making that jump
Sure.
was the hard decision. And
Yep.
looking back, best one I've ever made.
Wow. Far out. That's good. That's helpful. I think because I remember because in the program, people don't know this, but like we have a one-on-one discovery call. I have a one-on-one discovery call with everyone. Dig deep and go into it. And when we first had that, I still remember it. I could tell that you were still like, was this a good decision or not? And I said to you, I was like, mate, it's going to be fine. You're gonna really get some great results. You've made a great decision. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm going to be here all the way. And that was my commitment to you. I won't quit on you as long as you don't quit on you. And to your credit, and I think this is what happens with people that really value money, they value themselves, and they make that decision. They make it compels them to lean into the program. And to your credit, you've shown up to just about every live call each week. You participate, you action the things that you learn on the call. You've completed the components of the course content and workbook. You participate in the community. You're a big part of the community. People know you, and you've got some results. So my question to you is, when you said it was one of the best decisions you made in your life, what made it that? What has happened to you since making that decision that's made it that?
Well, look, I think the biggest thing for me, there's a couple of points in there. The first was doing the budget, and that set the precedent of where I was spending my money, etc.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. The second thing was realizing how easy it is to invest and park that to one side and let it go.
Yep.
Then actually setting up the money rules to help you along the way. And as you pointed out, I'm ex-military, and very much so there's an infrastructure, there's a left and right boundary, and a set of rules, etc., that you run by. Now, there's a bit of flexibility in that. And of course, it's the same with this. It's set yourself rules, set up those boundaries to work in, and go from there. And it was, I think those two things put together started me on that line. And I like that familiarity, that rigidness of getting into it and doing it, and being held accountable. Because in the military, you're held accountable as well.
Absolutely,
yeah. And so the budget, for me, I think was the biggest thing that I've learned out of this and sticking to it, but doing it every month and seeing the changes and seeing, there's something tangible when you see these figures sort of smacking you in the face and you go, it actually works.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of time, because when you set it all up, like when you set your boundaries up and your rules and you set up your plan and your strategy is how you're going to get your money under control, you know better than anyone, it takes a little bit of time to see some results. Like, it's not just this instant, there's money. But once you set the rules, you just needed the time to transpire for it to happen. And that was probably 6 months ago, was it? 5 months ago?
Yeah. So when I started the budget, that was based on the figures I've got here in front of me in the screen to one side. Prepared, ready to go.
Right. Hit us with the figures. Give us the result.
So on the 6th of July, basically my debt was around the 13.5 mark at that point.
Okay.
Because I borrowed and had to go back. I had some on Zip, and of course the credit card.
Yep.
My net worth was about 206 all up.
Okay.
Now, go forward 6 months, so the 16th of Feb, my debt went down to 66, which is, and I did some figures, and I don't have it on the piece of paper. I set it on the other desk, actually. And it was something like 50-odd% that I dropped it. So, 13.5 to 6.6, you're looking at 50%. reduction in 6 months in debt. My net worth went from 206 to about 230. So there was a percentage of about 200, what was that, 51% all up or something? On the difference, that is. So yeah, it went up about 25,000.
Right.
So yeah, there's some big figures, and when you see that in 6 months, it's gobsmacking, to be honest.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. What I love about those numbers, and I love that I love that you've tracked it so closely. And what is great about your military background is you're a very methodical guy. So money is a methodical process. It's not very complex. It just requires some rigidness and some behavior traits that are done consistently, which you've done in 6 months. What I love about that is you've been able to increase your net worth and learn the investing stuff, plus do it while you've actually been managing your money and paying off debt. Like, you've done both. And I think people often think, oh, I've just got to pay off the debt first, but you've actually done both at the same time. So you've seen progress in both areas, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I love
it. So I love it too.
it. I really love it. It's been great.
Well, you know what's really interesting is in another 6 months or so, let's say you finish the whole 12-month program and you'll have paid your debt off completely, plus improved and increased your net worth by probably another 10 or 15K. It's like I paid off all my debts and increased my net worth by 40,000. That's a wonderful achievement for 12 months of getting your money together. Like, that is as good as you want, I think. Like, it could always be better, of course, but I think it was probably something you weren't thinking you could achieve even on that first call with Mel, or even 7 or 8 months ago.
Exactly. And to think, out of all this, I still haven't been able to get my side hustle or anything else going. So this is just off my wages.
Yes, there you go. Because I think that's really important point to point out too. Because in the 5 steps to millions, we talk about mindset, mentorship, managing money, multiply money, which is investing, and then the 5th step, which is make more money, where you kind of turbocharge this system you've set up here. And with you doing that, I think what you're alluding to is, as soon as you get the extra money coming in outside your job and you put it into this system, obviously it scales higher.
I was going to go ballistic.
Yeah.
I know it. I can see it. It's just, it just got to be patient and get there for me. It's been a little bit slower compared to other people.
Yeah.
But it's part of the process.
Part of the process. And I think also once you get your debt down to zero, all the money you're putting into that goes into your investing and your assets, and you start to actually build quite fast, which even without a side hustle helps too. But let's unpack the side hustle part too, because coming in from someone who's had so much experience in a PAYG employment, military, then employment role, it is challenging to kind of release the grip on the conditioning around, getting paid for your time. And I want to talk about the things that you've experienced that have not been measurable on numbers, that have been something you've experienced perhaps from a personal development standpoint, or your character, your behavior, things that have changed since you started the program that we can't quite see on a spreadsheet.
I suppose one of the biggest things is forming the habit and making sure it's like anything. Smoking, it's a habit. Drinking, it's a habit. Now, if you've got to break it, you've got to break it. Whereas in this case, with money, you've got to form it. And that's part of it that you don't see is creating that habit and keeping it going and making it like it's part of your life. And probably one of them is paying yourself first, which blew my mind, especially when I was making the money rules and you said, put up the top there, and I had to write it in sketch. That was quite funny. But it's the habit. But I've been a lot happier. There's a lot of other things that have been behind the scenes that have sorted. But once I started getting the money side of things sorted and feel that it's not a barrier anymore, I can still enjoy life. I can still do the bits and pieces. but I feel a bit more comfortable at my retirement, and I don't have to worry about the money side of things. And I feel a little bit more comfortable about that. That lowers the anxiety, and you start to enjoy things, even the littler things in life. I suppose that's probably the big one that you can't measure and that you
Mm.
can't see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can see it on the calls each week because you come as a different person. Like you're a different person from now when you get on the calls when you were at the beginning, because you get results, confidence builds, you get, there's, you grow because you do uncomfortable things and you grow. But would it be fair to say that, like, just the other day, we had this challenge in the group where it was to go make some money for the week and sell something. And I remember you got on a call and everyone was doing some sales and you hadn't quite done it yet. And it was frustrating. But then the following week you sold it, you made 60, and you started loosening this grip on your ability to make money. And that's happening for you. And it'll continue to happen. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for me, I've always been a patient person, and I suppose maybe getting older, I'm not as patient. But and you see everybody having all this success, and you just want it as well because you've seen what you've been able to do in a short time. You want to do it more, and as you talk about the compounding interest and the snowballing, I just want that snowball to run faster.
Yeah.
So it starts to translate into me getting a little bit frustrated because it's not happening as much. And I've got to be aware that I've got to be a little bit more patient.
Yep.
Some people are probably a little bit more natural to selling,
Yep.
etc.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, this pay as you go, where you earn and so forth, that's been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
You're looking at 40 odd years, and it's a
Yeah.
conditioning it's so hard to break out of.
Yes.
Um, so I think
But
that's
we're breaking you out slowly. We're getting it. It's
oh
happening.
yes.
We're getting we're breaking the patterns. You can see it. And it's definitely like you're even different. Yeah. It's if you talk to a military guy who's conditioned around that type of work, it's flipping up. Like it ain't gonna happen overnight, but it is definitely happening. And
Mm,
I loved when you celebrated your win of being able to sell something and earn money where all of a sudden your money wasn't attached to your time as much. And that's the first steps to you scaling your side hustle outside your job to amplify your wealth. And I think it's happening for you faster than what you think. It's just, yeah, changing behavior is not something that's quick all the time because what you said is so true. You have to form new habits. So you're doing all those things. I'm impressed by it, to be frank. I think it's wonderful what you've achieved in such a
thank you.
short time frame. You followed all the rules. You followed the system that's in place, which is part of the being a coachable person. You're open, you're coachable, and you're also. I dare say you've made some connections in the program. You've probably made, you know, there's probably been some things that you've developed, friendships or whatever it might be so far. But I want to ask you, what's your favorite part of the program?
I think it's the community. It is coming to the fore and being able to say something and not be judged in a detrimental way, because there's so much of it out there these days. And admittedly, I keep off of social media, and that obviously then having to do the Facebook Reels, it's sort of flipping that back on the head. So it's sort of like, hang on a second, but yeah, and I've done those reels or a few of them, not as many as probably I wanted to, but I've been able to do them, gain confidence out of that as well. People being very much, supportive. Everybody's willing to listen to what you have to say, as well as you then listening to what they have to say, and it's this give and take, and it's done in an appropriate way. And I mean, it's something that I haven't had a lot of throughout my life, and seeing that now, I think has also helped and grow the community and grow who I know.
Yep. Yeah. I think your environment, right, is stronger than willpower. So I think seeing how you've adapted to the environment and seeing you grow in it, I think it's been a powerful part of the most powerful part of the program for you. I personally, I think that for you. Not everyone, but I think that for you. I think it's definitely a place where you can come and talk about all the things you really can't talk to anyone else about when it comes to money or anything else. It's like money rehab. Come and hang out. Money therapy.
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
talk about the things we need to talk about. So, yeah, awesome. That's really good. I think it's also it's so powerful to be in that community because you do learn things quite, from other people and get in the right headspace, which obviously helps those hard days. Great, excellent. My last question for you, and thanks for being such a great sport and answering these for me.
Thank you.
What we Yeah, I'm just going to ask you, what would you
Thank-
recommend? What would you recommend to others like that were in your position before you started? What would you say to them? Maybe they're watching this video or something.
Education, money, education. Look, there's a number of items that I've learnt through that. A, budget. Don't just pay your debt and that's it. It's about pay yourself, how you manage that debt. Pay off your smaller debts first that give you a little bit more money to be able to utilize, and not live on 2-minute noodles. You can go to, type of thing. It's you step those little pieces up. I mean, some people are out there, and I've heard some absolute horror stories, especially pensioners. Eating food that's for animals, but not human consumption. But they're doing that to be able to survive because it's much cheaper.
All
And
right.
and when you look at that, and when you hear that, it's frustrating. Not frustrating. It's sad to some degree, and all because we've been conditioned on a system that's made us work for others, and we know no different. And you've got to break out of that. So if you learn the education, you can set yourself up a whole lot better. And yeah, you don't have to survive on the 2-minute noodles. And that's that. I think that's where I was sort of coming from. And
Yeah,
if we can break that shackle and break the momentum and turn that around, education.
education. Yeah. Once you're educated and you understand it, you can't uneducate, right? You got it. You're equipped now with money education that you never had, and it seems to me like it's working well.
Oh, I love it. I I think I mentioned to you one day, and it was to do with the change in mindset.
Yeah.
And I decided to go and buy lunch one day, and I was in there, and they had the newspapers. Instead of reading the sports section, I went straight to the business section to see what's happening with the stocks.
Yeah. I remember that. That was a big breakthrough moment because you switched focus and you
Mm.
started to, because you understand, things from the money club you're in and all the elements of the program, you're aware of money and finance, but you also understand some of the jargon and the language, and now you're able to read the finance news and have a level of interest in it because of the things you've learned, I imagine.
Oh,
So
without a doubt, and that comes from the education.
yeah,
And as soon as you do that, you start to break your cycle. You
yeah,
change, and I know this is a big piece with you, mindset. You've got to do it. And
yeah.
as soon as you start changing it, it's amazing. It really is.
Great, excellent. So you're happy with the decision you made 6 months?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been able to sleep since then, so that's exciting. That's good. You've been a real pleasure to work with, man. I've really enjoyed it. I love our friendship that's forming, and you're just a great, you're a great participant in the community for sure. Very well known, and yeah, super impressive. You should be very proud of yourself. I know you are, of how far you've come, and at any age, anyone should be educating themselves financially because you just don't know when you need it, and probably need it sooner rather than later.
Oh,
So,
exactly.
thanks again, mate. Appreciate your time. There was a task this week.
Can I make one last comment?
Yeah, yeah.
For anybody out there that's looking, listening, it is never too late to start.
Great comment. Because I know some people think that more than we probably even know will think that. So, I'm going to ask you, how old are you? What's your age?
57,
Okay,
58.
so at 57, Cole's making some changes financially, and never too late, right? next 30 years are going to be so different for you because you made that decision to educate, self-educate.
Without a doubt.
It's going to be great. Well, look, watch this space. I can't wait. We'll do this perhaps again at the end of your program, but it's so good to see you fly, man. It's awesome. So thanks for your time. There was a task to come live in the group this week, but you ticked that because we've just done this.
I was still going to do it.
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah. But I for me, one of the biggest things was there's so many things out of this program that I got out of it. It was trying to decide what was the most important to me and so forth, because I'd rated them all virtually the same. And I was leaning towards the budget side. And after this call, I think I'll go with that one. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group. Thanks for playing at 100%. Thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you on the call on Thursday.
No worries. Thanks, Lloyd.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.